So, you step onto the dance floor, take your partner's hands, and boom, you instantly feel awkwardly stretched out like a giant rubber band. Or, on the flip side, you feel totally squished into a box with these tiny little T-Rex arms. Sound familiar? If you've ever tripped over your own feet or felt your shoulders creeping up to your ears just because your partner was, a foot taller or shorter than you, well, you are absolutely not alone. It's a universal physical challenge in partner dancing, but hey, the good news? It is completely fixable. Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're breaking down a highly practical guide on how to navigate those tricky height differences in partner dancing. Whether you're into ballroom, hitting up a social dance, or perfecting a choreographed routine, we're going to look at your dance connection just a little differently today. We're going to treat your dance frame exactly like a precision machine. And like any machine with parts that are slightly different sizes, it just needs some careful, deliberate calibration so both bodies can move completely naturally. Okay, let's dive right in. Here's our roadmap for The Explainer. 1. Finding your sweet spot. 2. Angles over arm height. 3. Sync timing, not stride. 4. Clear and early cues. And 5. The calibration practice. All right, starting things off from the ground up. Section 1, finding your sweet spot. Right off the bat, we've got to understand where things usually go wrong. And the core problem starts with what we call the default trap. See, we all have this standard distance we automatically use when we're dancing with someone our exact same size. But when you stubbornly stick to that default distance with a mismatched partner, that immediately causes physical stress and misalignment for both of you. So instead of defaulting, we've got to actively find our sweet spot. This is the adapted physical proximity between you and your specific partner that actively prevents either of you from reaching awkwardly high or awkwardly low. Resetting this distance is hands down the crucial first step to natural movement. Honestly, if you don't find this exact spatial sweet spot right away, literally every single spin or step that follows is going to feel incredibly forced. So how do we actually fix this? Well, the physical adjustments depend entirely on your height. If you're the taller partner, to keep your arm angles comfortable, you actually need to step a bit closer and consciously soften your posture. On the flip side, if you're the shorter partner, you need to step a touch further back or maybe slightly offset your stance. It's a really simple shift, but it creates the geometric space you need so your arms aren't just straining upwards. With our feet planted in the right spot, let's move up the body to the frame in section 2, angles over arm height. Just like our distance, our arms have a default setting too, which brings us to the core problem here: trying to physically match the other person's arm level. We've all felt this, right? That awful sensation of locked elbows or intensely tense shoulders because you're forcing your arms to sit perfectly level with someone who's several inches taller or shorter than you. It just does not work. So there's a major mind shift that needs to happen here. Think of your frame as a shape you maintain, not a fixed height. Really let that sink in for a second. Your ultimate goal is a balanced frame with consistent bend and consistent tension. If your elbows and shoulders feel stressed, the frame itself probably needs to change, regardless of how high or low it happens to be sitting. How do we construct that new shape? For the taller partner, you'll usually benefit from a slightly lower arm position and establishing a much more grounded connection straight through your torso. Now, for the shorter partner, you need a modest lift in your posture. But, and this is a massive but, you have to do this without ever locking your elbows. You want the frame to stay supportive and stable, not stretched out to its absolute limit. Moving right along to our footwork in section 3, sync timing, not stride. It is literally just physics. Footwork looks completely misaligned when your natural strides differ. This happens simply because one partner's natural leg reach is just longer than the other's. Trying to force identical step lengths when you're dancing with someone of a vastly different height, that's a losing battle. It completely disrupts the natural flow of the dance. So let's adjust our mechanical dials for the lower body. First, you've got to synchronize your timing to land on the beat together. Timing over distance, always. Second, if you're the taller partner, you need to deliberately shorten your stride. Keep those steps nice and compact. Third, for the shorter partner, you can slightly increase your step frequency to cover the ground, but only as long as it stays strictly within your comfort zone. And finally, when you're turning, prioritize rotating around the frame rather than stepping across. You want that center-to-center movement to stay perfectly consistent. All right, let's shift gears and talk about communication in section 4, clear and early cues. When there's a big height gap, signals can easily get lost in translation. Basically, cues travel really inefficiently through arms that are held at unusual angles. When a leader tries to transmit a move through an arm that's reaching way up or pointing straight down, the physics change. The signal actually gets dampened. Because of this, your communication has to be so much clearer, and it has to happen a lot earlier. Let's break down who does what to fix those lost signals. Leaders, you need to emphasize your torso direction and body alignment. You're going to want to use slightly smaller motions in your hands, but deliver them with better, earlier timing. Followers, your main job is to lock in that frame contact we just built and respond to the earliest possible cue from the leader's core, rather than waiting around for a massive delayed arm signal to finally reach you. Now, let's bring all of this theoretical stuff to the actual dance floor with Section 5, the calibration practice. Here's a vital reminder. Deliberate setups establish your connection before the movement even starts. Especially if your dance style uses a bunch of different handholds, you cannot just rush right into a routine. You've got to move deliberately through those setups to ensure absolute stability from beat 1. And here is your literal step-by-step calibration process for the practice floor. Step 1. Try a basic move. Seriously, don't start with your most complicated traveling spins or dips. Step 2. Adjust only one variable. This is the absolute secret sauce right here. If something feels off, don't change your frame, your distance, and your stride all in one chaotic go. Tweak just your distance, or just your frame height. Literally one dial at a time. Step 3, repeat until stable. After a few focused attempts, tweaking just one variable, you will almost always find that configuration where you both feel incredibly stable, connected, and completely free to express your own style. So, to wrap up our explainer today, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. If your default settings are holding you back, which single dial are you going to adjust on the dance floor tonight? Will it be your sweet spot, your frame angle, or maybe your stride timing? Partner dancing is all about adapting your own mechanics to create something totally seamless and beautiful together. Take these structured adjustments, apply them to your very next dance, and just watch your connection transform. Thanks so much for joining me today, and keep on learning.